Buongiorno everyone and welcome back to Lineup Predictions. Welcome back to the Magpie Channel TV for this week's lineup predictions, predicting Newcastle United starting 11 and bench for the game tomorrow night against Wolverhampton Wanderers. 8 PM kickoff at home, St James's Park, live on Sky Sports, not BT Sports, as I mentioned in last night's match preview. We had Matt Cooper from Talking Wolves on the match preview, so go check that out. At the start I said it was on BT, which it's not. It's on Sky Sports, so don't be watching BT. In fact, don't be watching none of it. Come here. Come to the Magpie Channel. We'll be having it right here, live watch along. Me and Big Renty live from Dubai. We'll be here as always, so come watch that. Subscribe while you're here right now. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're now only less than 160 subscribers away from 10,000. So please hit that button, share this video, share the Magpie Channel content. Let's try and get us there as soon as possible. It's much appreciated. All the information on Wolves' team, their team news will be mentioned in that live preview with Matt Cooper of Talking Wolves. That's all out there right now, so go and check that out. Matt mentioned their only injury concerns are Willy Bolly, Podence, Marcel, and of course Raul Jimenez, who picked up a huge skull injury, fractured his skull a couple of months ago against Arsenal. Awful injury, we wish him the best of luck, but it's great that he's not playing in this game because he's a massive threat. From what I've heard today, I don't think there's been any more team news regarding Wolves, so yeah, go check out what Matt Cooper has to say about them. He's the expert. I'm here to talk about Newcastle. Steve Bruce gave his press conference this morning regarding our team news, and what he says is Federico Fernandez probably isn't going to play. He was tipped last week, the Man United game. Bruce says he's been training for the last couple of days but isn't fit, should be fit for next week. But he's not. He says he's trained all week, he's been fine in training, but it's still a little bit too early. And yeah, he's unlikely to play. He didn't rule him out, definitely, but if he's not fit, don't play him. Like, Fernandez is important to us. I would love to see him in. Him with Kieran Clark, that would be my ideal starting 11 centre-back partnership. But, you know, like, we're coming into a serious part of the season now. At the end of the weekend, we could be in the bottom three. So we need to be very careful and sensible. As I'll get into, a couple of other players we need to be very clever about. What was the word Bruce used in his press conference? Box clever. We need to be box clever with it, with all of our players. The rest of this season we need to be box clever going into every game. We've got West Brom next week, bottom three team. Could be a huge 3 points that we need to get that. This one against Wolves, tough game. They've been poor this season. They could be there for the taking, but they're still a very good team. Since they've got promoted, 2018 I believe it was, they've been up there. They've been a top 6-7 club, easily Europa League contenders. So yeah, Fernandez should probably be out for this one. Hopefully the week after that, West Brom bring him in. Joe Linton is said to be okay. He suffered a back injury against Man United last week, but he's okay to play. And other than the news on Federico Fernandez and Joe Linton, there's no new injury concerns, which is great news. There is just a little update on the three that picked up huge injuries against Southampton a couple of weeks ago. Javier Manquillo is back in training, light training. Of course, he was set to be out for 8 weeks, I think it was, but Bruce gave an update on him last week and says he's responded really well to the training. So he's been back in training, doing very well with the ankle ligament damage that he had. Fabian Schär, he had an operation last week on the ligament damage he picked up. He's on crutches and in a knee brace. Hopefully he's doing well. Wish you best of luck, Fabian Schär. And Callum Wilson is now only 3 to 4 weeks away. He's making good progress, but he was the one he used the term box clever with. It's a muscle injury, so it must be box clever with how we're placed. Like, he's our key player. Where are the goals going to come from if Callum Wilson isn't in the team? So yeah, you could be looking at like 3 weeks minimum. Not really too long to wait at all. 3 weeks. Pray to God he's back in 3 weeks. But even if he is, be box clever. Muscle injuries, you can't be taking too many risks. So we'll just need to be clever with it and just see how it goes. Gonna jump into the starting 11 then straight away, and in goal, it's been circulating during the week. Bruce, I don't think, mentioned it in his press conference. I didn't read anything from the highlights anyway, but it's been circulating in the media. It's been circulating in the fan base for weeks now. But should Martin DÚBRAVKA be brought back? I think so. It's time. Martin DÚBRAVKA needs to claim his spot back. Like you say, we need to be clever. We're at a very, very busy business end of the season now. We've been suckered into the relegation zone, just about anyway. We need our best players available, and Karl Darlow, by any means, I don't think he deserves dropped. He hasn't done anything to warrant being dropped. If it wasn't for him this season, along with Callum Wilson, we'd already be in the bottom 3, without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt. Darlow and Wilson are single-handedly currently keeping us out of the bottom 3. But I think since DÚBRAVKA's been back, he's been an unused sub for, I don't know, just over a month now, a month and a half. But I think since then, Darlow's been a little bit more shaky than what he was. I think he's kind of looking over his shoulder. I think he's maybe just trying a bit too hard. Like, he deserves his spot. He claimed his spot. Brucey says he's going to be the number 1 until further notice. And he hasn't done anything wrong. Slight little errors in the Arsenal game. Was it the Aston Villa game? Just slight little mistakes. Nothing major. But DÚBRAVKA's that level of quality higher. He commands his box well. I think that's where he's got one up on Karl Darlow. They're both good shot stoppers. You could argue that DÚBRAVKA still is the better shot stopper, but DÚBRAVKA's more kind of captain material. I think he can lead from the back, and I think we need that now. He's probably better at his collection as well. The last couple of weeks, Darlow's been a little bit dodgy in dealing with crosses, deciding when to come, whether to come or not, punch, catch. I don't know. He just hasn't really been filling me with huge confidence as he was earlier on in the season. So now we've got this relegation battle on our hands. We need our best players available, and without Callum Wilson, we're already a couple short. So for me, it's time for DÚBRAVKA to come back. Into the back line then, playing a flat back 4 with a 4-3-3 formation as we've been playing for the last few weeks since Graham Jones' arrival. I thought we might have shit the bed and gone 5 at the back against Chelsea and Man United, but we didn't. Thankfully, didn't really pay off, of course. We didn't get any points out of it. But West Brom, currently 12th in the league, 33 points, only, what's that, 8 points ahead of where we are on 25. They're there for the taking. Matt from Talking Wolves in the preview, he says they've been so dodgy this season. A little bit like Steve Bruce, really. Like, they just don't really go for teams. Like, they can sit off a little bit too long. They've got the attacking quality in Adama Traore, Nelson Semedo, Johnny Otto, Pedro Neto. They've got some great players. So have we. Like, we need to go for this, so I don't want to say no 5 at the back. I'm confident it'll be another 4-3-3. And if it is, which it will be, it speaks for itself. It picks itself, I should say. The back 4, we haven't got any other options. So, at full back, Emil Kraft. I know a lot of people don't really want him in at the minute, but with Yedlin out the door and Manquillo injured, we've only got 1. Jamal Lewis at left back. Again, we've only got the 1. And without Shaw and Fernandez, we'll only have Jamal Lascelles and Kieran Clark. So that's that. Picks itself. Don't really need to go into it any further than that. I'll touch a little bit more on the fullbacks though. And Lascelles. I'll go into it a little bit more in depth now. But Emil Kraft, people just don't like him. They're not big fans of him. I've defended him a lot this season, but at times he does just show his lack of quality. Like, Manquillo is certainly the better option when available, but with the options we have at the minute, who do we play there? I don't see any point in rotating too heavily. Like, it's too important these coming few weeks. We can't be tampering with the squad any. Who can play there? Let us have a quick look at the team. Jacob Murphy, he's played at wing back this season. He could play there, but not as a full back. Hayden's played there a couple of times, but I'm not willing to sacrifice taking Isaac Hayden out of the centre midfield. He's too important. I wouldn't really want to put any of the left-sided players like Richie there. And same with Jamal Lewis. People aren't really happy with him, but Richie's not really a fullback. He's the only one I would consider bringing Matt Ritchie in, but he's not a fullback. I'm not a Paul Dummett fan as a fullback. I'm a Paul Dummett fan on the left-hand side of 3 centre-backs when we play a 5 at the back, but I don't want to say that, and I don't want to say Dummett at left-back. So we're stuck really at the minute with Kraft and Lewis, and the same with Jamal Lascelles. Yeah, not Lascelles' biggest fan. I know a lot of people aren't. If you've seen any of Pooley's videos over the last 2 years, we're not really big fans of Jamal Lascelles at the Magpie channel, and if it wasn't for the captain's armband, we've said a million times before, if it wasn't for that on the arm, I wouldn't have Jamal Lascelles anywhere near the starting 11. I think the captain's armband does a lot of heavy lifting for him. His leadership skills, if he didn't have leadership skills, he wouldn't be a starting 11 player. Not on my book, not a chance. Fernandez, I'd love to see Fernandez back. Him and Clark are our best, most consistent partnership we've got. Even before his injury, Fabian Schär was picking up great form, so I'd honestly have any one of them ahead of Lascelles, but due to current conditions and the captain's armband, Lascelles and Clark are all we have available at the minute. In central midfield, that pretty much picks itself as well. Isaac Hayden, John Joe Shelvey and Joe Willock. Hayden, of course, rock at the back, we need him. Joe Willock, new signing, new number 8, a player we've been craving for a long time, linking up the midfield and the attack, getting forward with the ball, good balls into the box. Big fan of Joe Willock. I think he is what we've needed for a long time. So them two, set in stone in my starting 11, but Shelvey's the questionable one for me. He just, I didn't even notice he was there half the time against Man United. Too often, in way too many games, large chunks, huge portions of the game. He's just completely missing. Absolute Caspar in the middle of the park. Absolute ghost. Where is he? Patrick Swayze, what's going on? He's fucking shit half the time for me. He has that moment of quality every now and then, but it's just way too inconsistent. But you can't really replace him. The only one I would replace him with is Matty Longstaff, but I don't know if that dynamic would work with Hayden, Willock and Matty. I don't think Bruce would go for that anyway. The only other options there are Jeff Hendrick and Sean Longstaff, who've been appalling this season, so neither one of them gets in. So it just feels like we're stuck again, just putting up with players like Kraft and Lewis and Lascelles as well. If there was anyone else to replace these guys, they're replaceable. But yeah, I think Shelvey's held in high regards by Bruce and most people in the Premier League. Like I say, on his day, he can be fucking unbelievable. Like, he has moments, like 1 or 2 moments in each game where he plays the good pass, he shoots from range, a corner or whatever it is. Like, you see the quality and the potential, but it's just way too rare. Way too rare. And the front 3. Now, if anyone wants to try and get this video to Brucey, if you want to retweet it at the club, send it there if anyone's got his address. If anyone wants to just try and get this through to Brucey into that fucking cabbage head of his, mate, I've been saying this for the last 2-3 weeks. Fraser, Almiron, Saint-Maximin. That's the way we need to play. They're our best options right now and probably have been all season. Like, before going to 4-3-3, we all, I think, wanted to see a 4-2-3-1 with Fraser, Almiron and Saint-Maximin in behind Callum Wilson. I love the idea of that formation. I'm so surprised and disappointed that we haven't actually seen that. The 4-3-3 I think works when Wilson was playing on the right with Almiron as the false 9. I loved it. But Wilson's out now, and even Brucey himself a few weeks ago says for some reason or another I haven't been able to play Fraser and Saint-Maximin. Some's had injuries, fitness issues, mainly for Fraser at the start of the season, COVID, blah blah blah. I haven't been able to put them together. You literally have for the last 4 weeks. One of them comes off the bench or you'll replace the other one. You're not giving them a chance. Instead you're trying to force like a Dwight Gale or a Joe Linton or someone to play in Callum Wilson's role. While playing a false 9, you don't need another striker. Look at the likes of Chelsea, Barcelona, the Spanish national team. They've been doing this kind of shit for years. Like Fabregas, I'm sure was playing like as a false 9 at one point for Spain. Like, You don't need a striker if you're playing this formation, and I don't think we do. I think Almiron does a brilliant job in that false 9. Maximin getting forward. And you've tried with Joe Linton. He's another one like Kraft. I've been trying to defend him as much as possible, and although I do rate him in aspects kind of similar to John Joe Shelby every so often in a game, like the Man United game, there was one moment where he was on the right wing. I can't remember who the players in question were. I think it was maybe Luke Shaw and Nemanja Matic kind of had him in double coverage. They were teaming up on him, but he held it off well. He held it till the right moment. I think it was Kraft got on the overlap, went down the middle, and Joelinton did a nice turn, played the ball through to him, and were on the attack. That's what I like to see from Joelinton. He's a good player on that right or left-hand side. I'd probably rather see him on the left, but he played on the right, and he does okay. We all know he's not a strike guy. He's not a number 9. He's not going to get you double-figure goals, but he's a workhorse at times, not all the time, but that's about it. Fraser is quality. Dwight Gale, I don't want to say Dwight Gale on the right-hand side, but Fraser was linked to like a move to Arsenal or whatever a couple of years ago, 25 million, and he has struggled a lot this season with fitness, fatigue, injuries, COVID. It's been an awful season for him, but we have seen moments. I think the other games was at Everton, Southampton, Crystal Palace, particularly the Crystal Palace game. I thought that was his best game in a Newcastle shirt, and we haven't even really seen him since then. Just little cameos off the bench, just here, there. Like against Man United, threw him on for absolutely no fucking reason because we went ultra defensive. We weren't getting the ball up to the forward players. It was just fucking pointless from Bruce, them changes. So for me, this is it. Fraser, Almiron, Maximin. Simple as that. If Brucey can try and get that through to his fucking head, attack Wolves, get at them, use the pace of Almiron and Maximin. Fraser getting them balls in, Willard getting into the box. We can beat this team. We need to start picking up points. I would take a point right now if I thought we were guaranteed to beat West Brom the week afterwards. 4 points in the next 2 games. I would take that. The last 3 games, 4 games against Wolves have all been 1-1 draws. We haven't got a great record against them. The only other one since Wolves have been promoted was a 2-1 win for Wolves. That was the first game after their promotion. Every other game since then has been 1-1. So I would take 1-1 right now if I thought we were definitely going to get 3 points against West Brom, but you can't do that. You can't just accept a point because we might not pick one up next week. So 3 points are there for the taking. We need to attack them and we need to win. I'll run through the bench there then, and Carl Darlow, of course, unfortunately drops to the bench, but DÚBRAVKA's back. Fernandez, hopefully he can get a spot on the bench if we need him, if Lascelles picks up an injury, which he has looked a little bit dodgy in that sense, not as a player. I think in injury terms he has looked a little bit dodgy in a few games in that sense, but yeah, hopefully Fernandez can come back for cover, maybe get 20 minutes at most if we need him to. Don't risk him if not. Paul Dummett and Matt Ritchie, Jacob Murphy, Jeff Hendrick, exclusion there for both of the Longstaff brothers, unfortunately. As I say, I'd rather see Matty there. Apparently there's been rumours of a bust-up between Brucey and Sean Longstaff, but Sean's been shite all season anyway, so who cares. Joe Linton, Dwight Gale, and Andy Carroll. Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the Magpie Channel TV, put your lineup prediction and a score prediction in the comments below. I think I'm going to go for a 1-1 if history has anything to do with it. Like I say, the last 4 games all been fairly boring games, 1-1. I think I'll just go with that again. Bit safe, a bit boring, but you know, at home, I'd love to see we get a 2-1 win. I think it's definitely more than doable, so fingers crossed we get that win. Come back tomorrow night for the live watch along. We'll be here talking to you all the way through the game. Hopefully it's a good one with match reaction and player ratings afterwards. Thanks for watching, everyone. Enjoy yourself.